welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today in the arena we are looking at a nearly mono-red deck that has Hydroid Krasis splashed into the top end. So this deck, where did this come from? As a consumer of MTG content and a huge fan of the Magic Pro scene, I was listening to a podcast. This one was the Bash Bros podcast with Brad Nelson, Brian Bronduin, and Corey Baumeister. And they discussed this deck and laid out a bit of the foundation on it. I also saw Autumn Lily MTG, also known as Autumn, the most recent Mythic. They're just called Mythic Championships. The most recent Mythic Championship champion, Autumn. Her Twitch handle, Autumn. Their Twitch handle, Autumn Lily MTG, featuring this deck. So this is where I got the list. I'm not sure where it originally came from. The idea is definitely to make a giant Hydroid Krasis, shoot giant Banefires, be a big mana deck that can answer the early threats of aggro, and then play really tough to deal with threats against control. Besides the lands with Steam Vent, Sulphur Falls, Rootbound Crag, and Stomping Ground, we need all of our lands to produce red. So that's how we support a Goblin Chain Whirler in the mana base, is we have all the dual lands that make red. So after those 16, we also have 4 treasure maps. And those treasures can also help us cast Giant Hydroid Krasis to attrition out the opponents and gain some life, something that the big red decks didn't have access to in the past. Now Banefire has become a not good in best of 3 formats, and that is because of Absorb and a ton of incidental life gain, both coming out of the sideboards and things like that. But in best of 1, Banefire is still uncounterable and is a way to kill Teferi. And if you can get rid of all the Teferis from the Esper opponent, they probably can't win. You might just deck them. I'm curious to try this deck. I actually haven't played with it. This will be my first time playing it here with you, and we'll do it in some ranked ladder. The Bash Bros podcast seemed to think it was a competitive deck for best of 1, and seeing it played by some very good players on Twitch and tested for best of 1, maybe it will make a splash at the Mythic Invitational that's coming up any minute. By the time you're watching this video, those deck lists may already be public. I'm not sure. It will either go up Wednesday or Thursday. Speaking of the Mythic Invitational at PAX East, I will be attending. Thank you very, very much to MTG Nerd Girl. I said it before, I'll say it again. She has a YouTube and she has a Twitch, which is much more active than her YouTube, and you should go follow her on Twitch. She has made it possible for me to attend all the awesome MTG events by making me her +1. So I'm very grateful, and I'm looking forward to having a great time, and I'm testing with her for the event. And as I record this, still about a week away from the event, I do think that she will surprise many people. She's got the right stuff, she's got the right decks, and she's got the talent. So I'm excited to see what happens. Let's go play some games with this deck, see how it goes. 2 tap lands, but we're on the play and we have shock. So I'm going to keep it. The idea being that at least I don't have to die to a turn 1 Merfolk plus Curious Obsession nonsense piece. White mana. Mono white is always the culprit when you see a turn 1 plains. Too many good dual lands in the format for that not to be the case. And there you have it. It is a little vampire token off Allegiance Landing. Let's see what the sequel is here. What are the best things to shock? Well, it isn't Snubhorn Sentry. So let's go after the token. Just if you can kill a thing, you should kill a thing. And yeah, they suspected the shock, so they slow rolled the bodyguard. That makes sense. So what I'm going to do is pay 2 life, and do I get my Chain Whirl on? I feel like waiting another turn isn't the worst thing I could do. Let's play the treasure map and hold a shock open. I guess that's not good against Benelish Marshal. I also need to keep an elephant from coming down. Let's just get the Chain Whirling done. It's too bad I didn't just anticipate drawing a red and then I didn't have to shock the token. I probably should have waited a turn on that. I was too nervous that I would miss my land drop. It's hard to say what's right or wrong. Like, how much do you gamble on drawing that land versus falling behind on the board? And killing things is basically what you need to do against the white deck every chance you get. Alright, let's remember that Tithe Taker and not pass the turn without killing it. Alright, got that. Let's go for a shock on the Tithe Taker. Get that out of there. Let's also go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can Lightning Strike. Let's just Lightning Strike away the snub. Maybe our opponent won't have the land to play a Venerated Loxodon, even if they have it. Usually the best thing you can always do is kill a creature. There's the Loxy. Let's keep the hits coming, although it's getting mana screwed in here. So do I use a Lightning Strike here? On the token? I don't think so. I think I'll play the map and try to get it ticking. We need another land for the Phoenix, and then we don't have to care as much. Are we tribunaling my map? That would be a little strange. The Chain Whirler is another target, and the Chain Whirler it is. Interesting. Considering the Chain Whirler wasn't doing too much. Alright, Karn to the bottom. I think I'm going to take my draw step because a land into a Phoenix would be so good, but our opponent has one more card in hand, and that bothers me. It's probably a Tribunal. If it was a creature, they would have played it. So I think it's another Tribunal, which means playing the Chain Whirler here doesn't do anything. I'm much better off Lightning Striking the token, or saving the Lightning Strike to go with the Chain Whirler. There's a land. Okay, so I'm going to keep the land on top. I'm going to pass the turn, and my plan is to strike down the token. Sky Marcher. Go away. Down to 8. Do we get another Tribunal? We get another Elephant. That's a lot worse. That's a lot worse. Man. That's terrible. Alright. So I guess I make the opponent go through the Phoenix. Then they make another token. I go to 1. I play a Chain Whirler. Maybe I can play a Krasis the same turn? This is going to get ugly. Here they come. Well, Elephant off the board. Phoenix back. Opponent drew a land. Anything else they would have played. Arch of Arazka. So a Chain Whirler won't kill anything or block anything. What about a Krasis? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can make it a 5/5. That's pretty big, and it gains 2 life and draws a card. Do I want to sack my treasure when I could draw a card with it later? A 4/4 isn't quite enough, though. Plus, it plays around an Anthem. If our opponent draws like a Benelish Marshal, the Krasis is still good enough. So let's go for it. Sizing matters in the white matchup. Wow. More expensive power. And we begin the stare down. It's all up to top decks. There's a Sky Marcher Aspirant. Goblin Chain Whirler is going to have to clean this up. The opponent does not have a good attack here. We eat their Loxodon. We eat their Sky Marcher. We go to... Did they not notice my life total increased? They thought better of it. All right. So I think I keep playing Krasis and try to hold Chain Whirler for one more turn. If they draw an Anthem, am I dead then? Let's see, we gain 2, we go to 5. We have 3 blockers. We would go back, we would go to 1 if they drew an Anthem. If they drew a removal spell, we would still block here, and go to 1. So yeah, let's hold on. And this is why Krasis made the deck, in case you were wondering, at home. And no attacks. Try to sneak a look at the graveyard really quick while the opponent's looking at their freshly drawn card. If I just stop and pause on my turn, they'll know I drew a Daredevil. And they pass the turn. Oh, what a draw. Okay, Very happy to get a shock, as you might have been able to tell. So, Goblin Chain Whirler. That's it. Whew, that was close. Here we go. We got 2 maps, a Chain Whirler, and a Karn. This hand might be too slow. It's on the draw. I'm hoping that we're up against Control. I haven't played against Control yet today, and this would be a good hand against Control. But I see a Jaya over there, which can mean red. Still, I don't want to mulligan the hand. Well, isn't that just the worst? This is the second time this has happened to me today. So if this game ends up being kept, it's because I didn't get Curious Obsession out on turn 2. Okay, no Obsession yet, and a pair of 1-drops. How exciting. Let's play the Sulfur Falls so the opponent does not believe we have a Chain Whirler. And see if they will counter this treasure map. Nope. Did not counter the treasure map. Oh, please play 2 more 1-drops. One time for me. Oh my. Oh my lord. This might be one of those early scoops, because I don't think they saw this coming. It looks like they have a dive down to save one of the creatures. But nah, just no. No thank you. I think I'll keep that one just for the laugh. For all of you who hate mono blue, that one's for you. Alright, we've got a Banefire on the play, so it can take out a Steamkin or a Mistcloaked Herald or a Pteramander if they play something early. We also have Treasure Map and Karn with a late Krasis. Let's give it a try. We got Tezzeret Avatar. What's that mean? If any of you saw the news, there are cosmetics coming to MTG Arena. Soon you will be able to purchase different sleeves and custom avatars. Or different avatars, maybe not custom. So watch for that in the near future. And it's just good old mono red. That's all it is. Come on, Chain Whirler. This is where I need my Chain Whirler. Let's get our map down. I don't think that Banefiring the Fanatical Firebrand can really be right. They have to have a specific light up the stage draw. This is the card that must die, the Runaway Steamkin. But come on, Chain Whirler, one time. Okay. Opponent's... yeah, opponent dodged the chain bullet. But let's get that off the battlefield immediately. Go away. We're going to save our Treasure Map Scry until we see what our opponent does, so we have a good idea of what kind of cards we need to keep. For example, would I keep a Goblin Chain Whirler now? Probably, but it would definitely be something I'd dig aggressively for if the opponent played another Steamkin. Here comes a Firebrand. Ow. Alright, let's run the map. I'm going to put a stop on the upkeep, but I'm not sure I'm going to use it. It depends on whether or not I find what I want. Daredevil is actually really good against the red deck, but not right now, as they don't have any burn spells in their graveyard. I think what I'll do instead is play the Karn. I think that's probably the best play. And then the Karn will likely draw a burn spell from the opponent, or the Karnstruct will. One of the two things will get burned. So next turn I can use Daredevil and their burn spell to kill a thing, and then flip the map the next turn and have a Hydroid Krasis. Thinking a little bit in advance, my friends. Thank you for your patience. Here is Karn. I am Karn.
I will fight for my friends.
Fighting for the friends is what he does. Now, we'll want the upkeep stop for the map this time, because I think we know what we're doing with our Daredevil. And the opponent's thinking about that Lightning Strike. Look at them. Look at them, they're thirsty.
Always another fight.
Karn is right, there is always another fight. Yep. Here comes some pain. So, do I want this upkeep scry, or do I want to take this draw? I would keep an untapped land so I can go Daredevil Lightning Strike and use the map. So I think I'll just take the draw step. Ooh. It's a good card, but a Fanatical Firebrand is a bit of a problem. And do I want to pay 2 life to flip this map quicker? I don't think so. Let's try to get rid of the Fanatical Firebrand, because that means that they have something to easily trade for the egg of the Phoenix, is the Fanatical Firebrand. And so we'll shoot down the Lava Runner. Let the opponent shoot this for 1 damage. Hopefully they don't have a Chain Whirler. Say go. I don't want to pay the life, even if it means flipping my map sooner. I think that the life is more valuable here. The good news is next turn we have not Runaway Steamkin, Rekindling Phoenix. And the opponent did give up their Fanatical Firebrand. Speaking of a Steamkin, let's see if we can find an answer to one. Ooh, that is an answer, because there's another Wizard's Lightning. But we need another mana to use it. So I won't be doing it this turn. But the opponent will have to navigate the Rekindling. We'll mark the upkeep again. I may want to go for the map on the upkeep. Big turn. Risk factor. Ooh. Do I let my opponent have cards? I think I take the 4 with a Hydroid Krasis and time being on my side, because that's their whole turn. They're not going to get to do much else. So yeah, let's take the draw step. I don't want to sacrifice a treasure unless I absolutely have to use the Daredevil. And wow, that worked out very well. So, Darkfleet Daredevil. Now I have another option, which is to take the risk factor. But I sort of like my opponent spending their turn on risk factor. So I'm going to make this play, which I think is a little bit better, to make sure that the Steamkin is dead and has an immediate effect on the board. I'll save my treasure map activation just to see what I might need to scry for. And then next turn is likely going to be a very large Krasis. Opponent looks like they're just passing the turn, which is another, I would suppose, sign of risk factor. Well, they've chosen a mountain. Let's see what the treasure map can find. A Steam Vents. I don't really want it, even though it's a blue source. I can use a treasure for that. I don't want another pain land in my life, really. Alright, so let's send the creatures. Bang and bang. Kapow. Alright, down to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I could have an 8/8 Krasis. Alright. Power up. And look, there's another blue source and a Krasis if we needed to chain the life gain. And I'll take more action. Go ahead. I guess I'll hide that I have another blue source until next turn, in case the opponent doesn't factor another Krasis into their plays, even though it looks like it's definitely over. I have 14 power, and my opponent has 4 mountains and 2 risk factors in the graveyard. If there's a world that gets them through this, I don't know what it is, and that will do it. Alright, this has a Chain Whirler and some Lightning Strikes, so I feel like I can keep this after the last few games where my opponent has simply had all of the Runaway Steamkins and I've had none of the removal spells. I'm pretty excited to keep some Lightning Strikes. But now, ta-da, Esper Control. Esper Control. I just got done with a game where I had triple treasure map, too. Against mono red with triple Steamkin. You can guess who won. I think it's Karn, right? Yeah, Karn gets picked. And the opponent keeps their top card. So we'll play this tap land, say go. Got a lot of burn in the hand. Uh-huh. Yeah, this is the opposite of the hand you want against Esper. But that's the way it goes, my friends. Keep on top again. Opponent with the double thought erasure so far. Feeling good about themselves, I'm sure. This deck can grind better than it looks, but I don't know if it can get over it doing absolutely nothing to Esper in the beginning of the game. I guess we'll have to see. It feels bad, I've got to tell you this. This is about as bad a feeling as I can have in Magic. Okay, we're missing a land drop. And they last turn did not have the, what would you call it? Chemist's Insight. So I'm going to keep saying go as long as they don't show me a Chemist's Insight, and hope that my Hellkite can get in damage at some point. Yeah, there it is. Teferi! Yay, everybody's favorite.
Let's slow this down.
So, let's get Teferi dead.
Hey, that was uncalled for. We will meet again.
A nice little 3 for 1, but what else are our cards doing?
I'm not done yet.
And if we can kill all their Teferis, we win the game because they deck. So, we'll go for that. And is it a cast down? Do I get cast down? I get cast down. I wonder if Treasure Map was the better play. There's his Kanta. Yep. But no Absorb mana open, by the way. I think I'd like to play Phoenix when I can also Lightning Strike to support it, because that way it can get around something to the effect of a Vraska's Contempt. By the way, that hesitation, our opponent has a Mortify. It could target the Iskanta, which is why it held priority there. So we can watch out for Mortify in this matchup. Put that upkeep stop in case we want to use our map then. We don't have a good way to deal with this Kanta, pretty much no way to remove it. The weird thing, and it's going to sound weird, is our plan is to grind the deck out. We might be able to Banefire over the top of them, but more likely, our Banefires are going to be used on Teferis. And if they can't win the game with Teferi, can they win the game at all? These Esper decks are very good, but they come with a single point of failure. And that single point of failure is if all the Teferis die, what do they do? Alright, land. Let's see if we can do better. Hellkite? Yeah, sure. I'll just say go. Again, I don't want to run the Phoenix out in this spot. And now we'll put a stop back on the upkeep again. There's the double blue. And the opponent's passing the turn. So upkeep, let's see if with this map can do some work for us. Another Banefire. We keep those because of Teferi. Although Thought Erasure is very frustrating. Our opponent did already draw 2, so maybe we can keep them busy. And I am going to throw the turn back to the opponent. I still want to play the Rekindling Phoenix when I could also Lightning Strike it. And I don't like running the Hellkite into anything. Plus these treasures might indeed turn out to be cards. Much more like clues when you have a treasure cove on the battlefield. Our opponent bins the Wrath. They've flipped the Iskanta. They're probably feeling very shiny. Ooh, main phase. Right on. They want to Thought Erase me that badly? Alright, third Thought Erasure. How many can they have? Well, they can have 4. You get 4. Now, which one of these do you want to take? Ooh, they took the Phoenix. I think anytime they don't take a Banefire, that's so good for me. But some Esper players don't realize that my plan isn't to Banefire their face. Alright, let's try this Daredevil trick. Give me that Thought Erasure. See if you're willing to negate your own Thought Erasure here. Uh-huh. I don't think they'd tap that low without a negate, but getting rid of their negate is never that bad. Let's draw a card with the Treasure Cove, so we can continue to make our land drops as we go. I'll pay the 2 life. I don't know what we'd use the Lightning Strike for, but it can't hurt. Our opponent's not too concerned with our life total anyway. So get comfortable. This could be a very long game. If Banefire really is just what we're doing to the Teferi, it could take a long time to get there. And here is the Hero of Dominaria.
I am not going to sit there. Keep up the pace.
So the question is, do I try to Lightning Strike Daredevil the Teferi? I could. I think I'll give it a try. No, the opponent has the Mortify. They'll just Mortify the Daredevil. I'll hang on to this. maybe that will make the opponent mortify the Daredevil before it hits. I drew another one, so I can try to Thought Erase my opponent. But I'm not too concerned. Besides, this... Oh, a Moment of Craving. Okay. Alright, one less thing. Plus they get his Conti usage, which is frustrating, but again, they don't know my plan. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can tap all those and still draw a card, so let's do that. Another Shock. So now we have Shock and Lightning Strike for a future Teferi, if the opponent ever taps really low. And there's Banefire for 5. You cannot counter it. Opponent's going to go straight into the deck. Probably thinking I'm going to go find another Teferi now. They find Chemist's Insight.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. So if this is stock Esper, usually the only thing that they win the game with is Teferi and maybe a Kaya or Karn. So it's going to be weird, but we're going to be a strange control deck fighting against something that's more of a combo deck, which is trying to ultimate a Teferi. 2 Teferis are down. There are 2 to go and probably 1 other Planeswalker. So I could play the Daredevil and target the Chemist's Insight, but the opponent can cast it in response, making it a bit of a waste. I could also try to get my opponent to react to something like the Skargan Hellkite, but that doesn't leave up the Daredevil activation. I think I'll just go for another Thought Erasure. Okay, the opponent really wanted that absorbed out there. They did it. Let's try drawing a card. I could play the Hellkite and get in there, but our opponent had cast down before. They probably have... It's very likely to have a cast down again. Still, Goblin Chainwhirler is really good against a Teferi that minuses, so I think that's the last place. Kind of the last straw for it. Let's go for this. We'll throw haste on it. And slam. Alright, that was a hit. It's more of a distraction than anything else, though. I think we'll see that mortify. Yep. And how anxious as Kanta? That's somebody who definitely has another absorb. And they find their Teferi. Yay! But they know about this Banefire. So I'm curious to see what they do. Another Chainwhirler. Let's try drawing a card first. We're looking for Krasis and other maps, really. But I'll deploy some Chainwhirlers to try to be threats. One at a time, of course. Kaya's Wrath is a thing. They're just little distractions. Our opponent with 29 cards in their deck. They don't know. Our big plan is to deck them. Ugh. We're just that dirty. We're still going to have to find a solution for another Teferi, though. And the opponent might wait till they find one more Thought Erasure to go after this Banefire. And that was way too easy. That's freaking gross how easy that is. Oh, Esper. Why you gotta be like this way? Alright, how about some good draws, huh? How about a Hydroid Krasis? Nope. Well, we'll try for the Chainwhirler. Oh, that's easy. Now we'll find out if they run multiple negates. Okay, and pass turn. We might want to try these, throwing them at the Teferi. It all depends on how our opponent taps their mana. I do think they have an absorb, just from the way that they've been, like, Iskantaing very early. Okay, they're Iskantaing now. That's a weird use of mana. They're out of Thought Erasures. If we find a Daredevil, okay, they have an absorb. They have a Kaya's Wrath, sure. I guess Teferi's not coming down this turn. Opponent's just going to pass with absorb open, knowing that I have Strike Shock. So let's put a stop on the upkeep. Let's get a Hydroid Krasis going. This is what it's in the deck for, and we've seen about half our deck. Closing in on half our deck. Let's Like, do your work, buddy. Earn your keep. Earn your keep, Jelly Belly. Not doing it. Okay. Awkward. Let's put a stop on the next upkeep for this treasure map. Here he is. Everybody's fave. We're going to throw our burn at him and try to pressure him now. So the first thing I'm going to do is send the lightning strike. It makes it possible I could get another shock, but the opponent's going to absorb it immediately, of course.
Hold that thought.
Okay. Our card's a shock and our opponent knows, but we're going to get to see a few cards here before I just utterly scoop. What's the opponent have? One more Teferi after this one? Don't want to tap the Cove this time because we're about to make some treasures. We'll want to draw some cards. I do want another map, to be honest. I really do. The opponent saw me keep it on top. That's usually very scary to a Teferi player. Let's take our bonus draw, see what we get. Hydroid Krasis, you need to earn your keep. Let's see if this map resolves. Yeah, the opponent's not afraid of it. And we'll pass the turn. But it does help us find the cards that matter. And as long as we find our last Banefire before this ultimates, the opponent will have to start over again. And quite honestly, they have to counter pretty much anything I shoot at the Teferi. So there's an Absorb. Maybe I should have gone for a shock there since I knew it would hit and make the Teferi take longer to ultimate. Maybe.
We need to move quickly.
Maybe that's what I should have done. It still makes a lot of sense to save a shock to combine with another lightning strike for the next Teferi, the last Teferi. Opponent's drawing up. They're doing all the things Esper loves to do. Yep, is Kanta. I think they're trying to get me to scoop. They've been really impatient with this Kanta, generally speaking, though, so it doesn't have to have that motivation. And the reason I call it impatient is just because it's always better to inform your decision with more of what your opponent did if there's not a cost to doing so. Now they get to do the double as Kanta, potentially. But let's use the map and mark our stop for our upkeep. Rekindling Phoenix, not really what I'm looking for. We have to bottom most anything that doesn't help me kill this Teferi. And a creature is just going to get removed at this stage. There's a Krasis. That's pretty good. Let's draw that. Main. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go for an 8-point Krasis. Opponent might counter it, but we still get the 4 cards. Which is what we're really after. Resources, my friends. Just don't let that Teferi ultimate, and this game could be ours. There's a cast down. And it's Kanta again. How quickly would you like to deck? 15 cards left. Also, a shock can be used if the opponent tries to tuck their Teferi. They have to -3 it. A shock can be used in response to kill the Teferi. So that's another good reason to hang on to it. Goblin Chain Whirler can apply similar pressure to a Teferi that way. How is our absorb count? 1, 2, and we've seen 2 negates, which is probably the most they can play. So there's the 3rd one. We can assume they have the 4th one.
To the good part.
Opponent up to 7. 7 Teferi loyalty. How about our strikes 1, 2, 3. Shock 1, 2. So there's still 2 more shocks in the deck. They're down to 11 cards. Like, this is going to be an easy decking if we don't let this ultimate. And the opponent might have to do things like countering every shock we play. I mean, that's really tough. Even a Chain Whirler taking them off for a turn is not something they want to use a counterspell on, but maybe they have to. And we still have a long way to go. I think we might be favored. We haven't seen the Kaya or whatever else our opponent might use, or if they use something like a Chromium. But stock Esper lately doesn't even play those cards. Alright, another Chemist's Insight got discarded. Our opponent might have figured out that they're drawing their way to their own demise. Stomping Ground can go to the bottom. We'll draw. So we can go for another Krasis, and that gives us a ton of resources for the following turn. The fight over the Teferi will be brutal, but if we can find the Banefire, it doesn't matter. 1, 2... Let's see, opponent absorbed the last one, didn't they? No, they cast it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, I think we go for it. Keep all the treasures so we have those resources. There's the Banefire. And we will pass the turn. We don't have to dodge any more Thought Erasures, right? 1, 2, 3, and exiled is 4 by a Daredevil, so yeah. No concern there. Here comes Vraska's Contempt. And we'll discard this. The real question is, do I want to use cards like Shock to get the absorbs out of my opponent's hand? I don't think it matters what they counter if they deck. It really doesn't matter. They're at 9. 9 left. Passing turn. What, no more Azcanta shenanigans? This is it. They're geared up for that big fight, but it won't be much of a fight. They don't know it, but it won't be much of a fight. So, I think we just take it out. I think we don't mess around with these other removal spells. Save those. Save those for the next Teferi. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go 6, 7, 8, 9. I might want to draw 2 cards. I guess I could leave all of these open, but I also want enough red sources to send Lightning Strike, Shock, and Shock at a Teferi potentially. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Go ahead, counter it. See what happens. Might be dawning on our opponent right now how this is going to work out. I could go for the Phoenix here, but into all the open mana, they're just looking for something they can absorb, so I'm going to say go instead. Alright, another card out of the deck, unless they don't... They can choose not to take a card and stack their deck with Azcanta. Just kind of shuffling their last few cards. It looks like that's what they did. They only have 9 left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 lands are on the battlefield. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So they likely have 5 to 7 lands out of their 9 cards here. That's not a lot of relevant stuff left. There is probably one more Teferi and some kind of a win con. Some kind of a Kaya, although that's not for sure. They might not even play that. Alright, here's Teferi.
Trust me, You'll thank me later.
So with the plus on the stack, we can throw some shocks and burn at the opponent. Get some of those absorbs spent. Yeah, we'll let that resolve.
No time for a break.
We don't have another free way to kill the Teferi, so we need to draw enough burn to get through this card. And both of our opponents absorbs. So let's fire this, see what happens. May I shock your Teferi? One absorb down. Alright. May I shock your Teferi?
I'm getting too old for this.
Alright. May I lightning strike your Teferi? There's another absorb. So absorb count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, that's probably all the counters that a deck like that can afford to play. Let's draw some cards. We've got enough mana sources now. Hydroid Krasis saw to it that we drew what we needed. And now let's get some more burn in our hand and finish this job. Even the Chain Whirler puts Teferi off for a minute. There we go. My turn. Let's see if our opponent's willing to try to counter this Goblin Chain Whirler. I don't think they do have any more counters, but maybe we'll get some kind of reaction. Vraska's Contempt, sure. Our opponent has 3 mana open. Maybe on end step they'll try to do something. Let's also play a Rekindling Phoenix. I'm going to mark my end step as a time when I'm going to try to strike the Teferi, but if that doesn't work, I'll go on upkeep. End turn. Okay, no effects. Yeah, let's give it a shot. The moment of truth might be this one.
You just let me know if you're up for round 2.
Alright, kicking on over. Now what do you do, opponent? All your Teferis have died. Are you the devious cover-up type? I think we would have seen it by now. In before Clear the Mind, right? But Stock Esper doesn't play that, and if this is another person on a net deck without any kind of tech for the situation, they're in big trouble. Let's draw some cards. We're on 18 to 5. Yeah? Our pace is good for getting the job done. Now, even if I did bolt my Phoenix, I don't think it would go very well. Yeah, we'll let that go. Because of Kai's Wrath. Alright, that resolves too. I think I will just keep the treasure around for a little while and make some constructs. Pressuring the opponent, I'm not sure if it matters, but it makes something happen. Alright, 3 cards left. Maybe playing something into Devious Cover-Up is the worst thing I can do, although I am sure we'd have seen it by now. Okay, I think they've gone suicidal. I think they're trying to empty their own deck. Good game, indeed. And that will end this marathon. Alright, this has been a good time playing with Krasis Red. We were able to defeat all the major decks of the format, White, Blue, Red, and Esper. And I can see how the deck has a lot of game. Now, some people are going to point out that I didn't rank up, that I must have lost some in between, and I did. And some people care about the losses, so I'm going to read off my list of losses today, which are 3 losses. I lost to Mono Blue. I was on the draw, and I had a Banefire for 1, but I was on the draw, and they had turn 1 Mistcloaked Herald, Curious Obsession on turn 2 with Spell Pierce, and I never resolved a spell for the entirety of the game. White, I played against it. I got stuck on 3 land, never drew my 4th land with 3 Rekindling Phoenix and a Karn in hand. I think I would have easily won if I'd played the Phoenix, but instead I got overwhelmed, never drawing a 3rd land for 6 turns. I did keep a 3-lander, by the way. And then I lost to red, where they had 3 runaway Steamkins, and I only had 1 removal spell in my hand. So I killed the first Steamkin, lost to the other 2 rather badly. I think that this deck has the capability to beat all the major decks of the meta. Like any other deck in Best of 1 against the best decks in the meta, it is susceptible to getting completely beaten by a God Draw. But play the Esper matchup in a crafty way, and you may find that even their good to fairy draws get Bane fired out. Thank you very much for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment. You can also support the channel on Patreon for special perks. Links are in the description. Our sponsors are HauntedFlower.com and FlipsideGaming.com. Haunted Flower sells officially licensed MTG apparel and accessories, and Flipside Gaming sells MTG cards and supplies. You can save 10% on either site with the promo code CGB, and it supports the channel at the same time. See you next time for another day in the arena. For now, it's me, it's CGB, signing out.